Every morning at 7:30 sharp, an old man in a brown hat walked into a small-town diner. He always sat at the same booth by the window, ordered the same breakfast, 2 slices of toast and a cup of coffee, and quietly watched the world go by. He never talked much, never complained, and never seemed to have anywhere else to be. Then one morning, something happened that would change the lives of everyone in that diner forever. Because when that same old man didn't show up, a group of lawyers and 4 men in black suits walked in asking for the waitress who used to serve him. Before I tell you what happened next, take a second to subscribe to Kindness in Action, where we share true, powerful stories that remind us how one small act of kindness can change a life. If you believe in spreading goodness, make sure to like this video and leave a comment about the kindest thing someone's ever done for you. The diner sat at the corner of a quiet street in a small Midwestern town. It wasn't fancy, just a cozy place with coffee that never ran out and pancakes that tasted like home. Megan, a young waitress with tired eyes and an easy smile, had been working there for 3 years. Every morning, she served the same group of regulars, truck drivers, retirees, and early risers who liked their eggs scrambled and their news printed, but her favorite customer was always the old man in the brown hat. He came in every day, rain or shine, sitting in the same booth by the window. He'd nod politely when she greeted him and order the same thing, just coffee and toast, sweetheart. At first, Megan didn't think much of it. He was quiet, polite, and never caused trouble. But she started noticing things. His coat was worn at the edges. His shoes looked old and cracked. Some mornings, he'd fumble with his wallet, pretending to look for cash that wasn't there. One morning, she saw it, the hesitation in his eyes when she brought the check. He looked down at the table, embarrassed, and whispered, "I'll pay you tomorrow, dear." Megan smiled gently. "Don't worry about it, sir. It's on me today." He looked up, surprised. "You sure?" "Absolutely," she said. "You just take care of yourself, all right?" He nodded, his eyes softening. "Thank you. You're very kind." From that day on, Megan started covering his breakfast more often, sometimes slipping a note onto his plate that said things like "Have a good day," or "You're not alone." She never told anyone, not even her co-workers. It was just her little secret, a quiet way to make someone's morning a bit brighter. Weeks turned into months. The old man's visits became part of her routine. She'd pour his coffee before he even sat down, knowing exactly how he liked it, 2 sugars, no cream. They started chatting more. He told her little pieces of his life, that his name was Mr. Thompson, that he used to be a teacher, that he'd lost his wife a few years ago. His daughter lived far away, and most days, the diner was the only place he talked to anyone. Sometimes Megan would bring him an extra slice of pie or sneak a small breakfast special onto his plate. He always protested at first, but she'd just wave him off and smile. "It's nothing," she'd say. "You remind me of my grandpa." And every time, he'd smile, that quiet, grateful smile, the kind that says more than words ever could. Then, one cold winter morning, Mr. Thompson didn't show up. Megan waited, glancing at the door every few minutes. The clock hit 8, then 9. His booth stayed empty, the coffee she'd poured for him growing cold. She told herself maybe he was just running late, but deep down, she felt something wasn't right. The next day, he didn't come either. Or the day after that. A week passed. Then 2. And just when everyone had stopped expecting him to return, the diner's door opened, and in walked 4 men in black suits and 2 lawyers carrying folders. The diner went silent. Everyone turned to look. "Excuse me," one of the lawyers said, scanning the room. "Is there a waitress named Megan here?" Megan froze, confused. "That's me," she said quietly. The man nodded and motioned for her to sit. "We're here on behalf of Mr. Harold Thompson." Her heart skipped. "He's okay?" The lawyer paused, his tone softening. "I'm afraid Mr. Thompson passed away 2 weeks ago." Megan felt her throat tighten. She looked down at the table, tears welling in her eyes. "He spoke very highly of you," the lawyer continued. "In fact, he mentioned you quite often. You might not know this, but Mr. Thompson was not who he seemed." The lawyer opened the folder and slid a piece of paper toward her. "He was a retired schoolteacher, yes, but also a man who had built quite a fortune over his lifetime. He lived simply because he wanted to. And before he passed, he left specific instructions in his will." The other lawyer handed Megan a letter. It was written in shaky handwriting, but she recognized it instantly. "Dear Megan, you showed me more kindness than most people do in a lifetime. You never asked for anything, never judged me, and never treated me like a burden. I want you to know that your kindness brought light to some of my darkest days. I've made arrangements to ensure that the diner where you work, and the people who make it feel like home, are taken care of. You'll find the details below. Please accept it not as payment, but as a thank you for reminding me that goodness still exists in this world. With gratitude, Harold Thompson. Megan's hands trembled as she read. The lawyer explained that Mr. Thompson had left her a generous inheritance, enough to pay off her student loans, buy a home, and even cover the diner's rent for years to come. Tears streamed down her face. Everyone in the diner sat in stunned silence. The lawyer smiled gently. He wanted you to know your kindness mattered. From that day on, Megan never looked at kindness the same way again. She realized it doesn't take grand gestures or big donations to change someone's life. Sometimes, it's just a cup of coffee, a smile, or a simple act of compassion that ripples farther than we can ever imagine. She continued working at the diner, now under new management, her own. She renamed it Harold's Place, and under the sign, she hung a small plaque that read, "In memory of a man who reminded us that kindness never goes unnoticed." Every morning, she still pours a cup of coffee and places it by the window for Mr. Thompson, because kindness, she learned, isn't about what you get back. It's about what you give, even when no one's watching. So next time you see someone who looks like they could use a smile or a helping hand, remember, you never know whose life you might be changing. Thanks for watching Kindness in Action. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in the power of kindness. And remember, one small act can change everything.